Drywall screws like this are good for thin sheet metal members like this, but I like to use them in thicker metal like this. The wall thickness on this square tubing is 3 millimeters, or just a tiny bit under 1/8 of an inch. And the major diameter of the drywall screw is 5/64 of an inch, or 3.5 millimeters. And I'm drilling a pilot hole for that screw 1/8 of an inch, so it gives it just a tiny bit of bite. And that turns into there pretty easily. And let's stick that into my screw yanking out apparatus. And that's showing the pull force at the top right in kilograms. 361 kilograms. And that doesn't look any worse than before. And there's some raw bits of metal on there. It looks like some of the edges of the threads actually broke on here. Yep, failure is definitely the threads of the drywall screw. Let's try it with a smaller pilot hole. And that's 7/64 of an inch, or about 2.8 millimeters. And I'm just reusing the same drywall screw because only that top bit of the thread is damaged from yanking out. So this is pretty hard to turn now. Okay, easier now because I've essentially cut my thread, the tip is through there. And I changed the scale of the graph on the screen because I wasn't initially expecting the forces to be this high. That's half a ton now. Whoa! That screw just broke apart, so I guess half a ton is as much as I can pull on a screw like that. And you might be wondering, how do I get the screw out now? Well, easy. I just turn it out like this. Because it's not actually in there all that tight anymore. And I'm pretty sure that thread is still good, so let's just put another drywall screw in there and yank it out again. Slightly higher fail force this time. Next, this thicker square tubing, and actually this is a part that I cut out from that, and this has got 4.5 millimeters, or almost 3/16 of an inch. And this piece of metal is actually what used to be in here. This material is 1.5 times thicker, and if it holds the screw 1.5 times better, it'll break the screw. Yep, that broke the screw all right. So let's try something thinner. This stuff is 1.5 millimeters, or just under 1/16 of an inch. And I'm just going with a smaller pilot hole size of 7/64 of an inch. And this stuff being much thinner, it's actually quite easy to turn a drywall screw into it. Another drywall screw thread failure, but an impressive load for such a thin material. And out of curiosity, I also retested it with a 1/8 inch hole, which pulled out at just 65 kilograms. No surprise there, because it was really easy to turn into that hole. And I'm also curious how well the drywall screw holds in its intended material. At 0.5 millimeter thick per millimeter, it didn't hold as well as the square tubing, but that's because the way it bent, the metal just kind of pulled away from the screw threads. And finally, a piece of cast iron. I'm using a 1/8 inch pilot hole, so very minimal thread penetration, and I've only got about 6 millimeters worth of depth where the thread is engaged. Oh, that washer's bending. I have to restart that test. And at 510 kilograms, that was pretty close to the breaking force of the screw. And it looks like it was the screw's threads once again that failed. And with how well that held with just minimal thread penetration in just 6 millimeters, there's no point in making the pilot holes any smaller and risking breaking the screw or the cast iron. And then I worked out the stress on the material for the drywall screws when they break at 0.5 ton. And actually that works out to be pretty impressive because the fail strength is right up there with the very strongest bolts.